What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 41. I am Bret, aka Enigma 9011, and today I'm joined by Christian, aka PixelBrave.
Hello.
Today, we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff for you guys, but remember, you guys can catch the podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every first and third Saturday of the month. You can join in the chat, join the discussion with us, whatever topic we're talking about, obviously. Get your 2 cents in there, and we'd be happy to have you. If you can't watch it live, it's over on youtube.com. Search Enigma9011, post up topic by topic, but then is one big video at the end of the week. If you have any topics for us to talk about, you can always put it in the put it in the comment section down below, or join us on Discord, and you can put it in that tab specifically. And then, let's see, last thing, remember today we are sponsored, #ad by the merch store. You can get all of your Enigma 9011 swag over there, t-shirts, backpacks, cups, and more. Did I say backpacks? I did say backpacks. You can check it out over there, rep the brand, support us, that'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, so Christian, is your first time on the podcast. Appreciate you being on here.
I'm glad to be on.
Little background on our relationship. We met, I believe it was Kind of Funny Live 2 real briefly, because you were doing your crazy vlog recording that you always do.
I was vlogging around KFL too.
Yep. Yeah. But I remember you're very good at like quick turnaround with those videos. I remember Kind of Funny Live 2, you like record and then it'd be up the next morning and stuff like that.
That was definitely 2 then, because I think at 3 I kind of started finally taking a break.
Gotcha. So yeah, I remember the first day of Kind of Funny Live 2. It was I don't know what park that was, but you can see the bridge, and it's near Alcatraz.
Oh, Golden. What? I don't know if that's.
Yeah,
Golden.
whatever that place is. But
there was a park by Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. So I remember you shooting that, and the video went up the next day, and I think that following day I was just like, oh, the video is awesome. You know, it was quick, little whoop in, out, then and there. And then we talked a little bit more Kind of Funny Life 3 and prom this past year. So we've kind of known each other like little bits here and there. I don't think we've kind of dove super deep into conversation, but you know, nothing wrong with that. But that's how we met. And as I brought up, you've been doing the vlogging for Kind of Funny, with at least, you know, taking your own video and kind of sharing what's going on with the event for people who, you know, maybe can't make it, or just making a kind of a time capsule, I guess you could say, a memory for everybody to kind of check back in with. So I want to ask you, it's kind of my topic, but I don't have like an official name for it, I guess. Mm-hmm. How did you get into filming stuff? Like, what was that tipping point, I guess you could say, to push you to do that?
Well, I started shooting stuff at like just like family events.
Okay.
You know, weddings, things like that. But like most people know me for the event videos, and what got me onto event videos was going to the IGN's house party that they had for Beyond 400. Yeah, Beyond 400.
Okay.
That was like, I'd gone IGN before, but it was like, I was in the city for like personal reasons, and I happened to just ran into Fran, and he mentioned, "Oh, you're a fan. You should come check out the office." But like, I didn't really get to meet the community in person, other than like forums and stuff. But Beyond 400 is when I finally got to like be around other community members, and shooting that was like kind of my way of, I guess, easing into, like, it's always kind of weird meeting people for the first time. Right. And so I just kind of took all those like old family. I took that same like kind of, you know, sometimes I don't want to talk to family and stuff, so that's why I would just shoot like the, you know, the weddings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of same kind of attitude, like, hey, I'm really excited to be here with all these people that also love the same things I do, but I don't know how to talk, so I'm just going to shoot and let, I guess, like, maybe put this thing out there and be like, this is how I can communicate. I can communicate through video, so this is what I'll do. And people were really responsive to it. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And for the longest time, it was just like, this is just what not what I do. Well, I feel like that's like reductive to say, like, this is how I communicate to the community, is by being there as the fly in the wall to also, like you say, kind of capture this time capsule for people, but also to share the memories with people who can't be there. I wasn't able to go to Kind of Funny Live 1. That's why I don't have any videos from that. Mm-hmm. And they had actually put together like a vlog type thing. Tim collected a bunch of like cell phone footage and stuff and put together like something like that. But for me, I was like, it's cool, and I'm glad that I'm watching, but like every shot is like some other phone and this and that. I was like, man, like I really appreciate the effort. That I couldn't go, and so I'm checking out this video. But like, man, like I wish I could see like something really cool. And so that's why I was like, hey, well, people like the Beyond one that I did. I'm gonna make sure if I can go to another kind of funny thing, I'm gonna try to fill in that gap. Provide that for anyone of us who can't go.
Right.
I'll give it that. And I guess that's kind of how the start of it all happened.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I know definitely a lot of us appreciate it. And I mean, it's just cool to see whatever has been going on entirely, because especially with these past couple of years, I know like Kind of Funny Live 2, it was very kind of like everybody was going to this event, the schedule of the what do you want to call it, community events. Like it was a set list, but like in Kind of Funny Live 3, and I noticed with Prom, like I feel like people are getting a little bit more comfortable with each other, and they have like their groups. So like you don't always go to this event or this event. Like everybody's kind of got their own branching paths, and it's kind of cool to see like what an event was if you didn't go to it, like the food trucks or this, that, the other thing. So it's a nice filler, I guess you could say, for the rest of the event and to see what is going on. So you mentioned you did the IGN one. That was your first one, not family related, and then you've moved over to Kind of Funny. And then before we started technically recording the podcast, you mentioned Rooster Teeth, and I've noticed you've done a few videos for them. Have you been a Rooster Teeth fan for a long time, or?
No, honestly, like and it's so crazy because they're like one of the biggest production companies here in Austin, which no, I'm from Austin, Texas, and for the longest time I was convinced that Rooster Teeth was just some kind of Microsoft thing. Because the big thing about Rooster Teeth is red versus blue, which is a Master Chief model in a red and blue skin. And so every time RTX would happen or Rooster Teeth would be doing a thing, obviously like they just got all these red and blue Master Chiefs all around. So I'm like, oh, it must be some kind of esports or something like that. Something like RTX just sounds like an esports event. And so for the longest time, and I never played Xbox or anything, I was always PlayStation or Nintendo. So I had all this degree of separation from that. So I for the longest time, I didn't even realize what RTX was. I just thought it was some kind of esports or Microsoft thing. But it wasn't until Kind of Funny joined forces with them, and they were like, oh yeah, like since we're partners now, we're gonna do like a stream of Ruby. And I was like, I've always heard about this Ruby. Let me check it out, And that's kind of like after Rooster Teeth and Kind of Funny became friends, that's when I started becoming a fan. So it's only been in the last like 3-4-ish years that I've really started to get into that. And yeah, I really like, I have no idea that they did so many things. They have podcasts, animations, live action shows, movies. It's like they do everything. And so I really admire them now, and am just still continuing to learn so much more about the company.
Yeah, it's nuts, all the stuff that they do. I'm on the same boat with you. Like I knew red versus blue, and like a friend showed me that years ago and we checked it out, but yeah, then I fell off for the longest time. I knew Achievement Hunter and stuff like that, but I wasn't like the most invested, I guess you could say, in their company until you mentioned the Kind of Funny crossover.
I'd heard these names of things like Achievement Hunter and stuff, but I didn't even understand that those were things under the Rooster Teeth umbrella. Like Kind of Funny Live 2, where we met like Bernie Burns was the host, and I was just like, this must be some comedian friend of theirs. I had no idea this was like the CEO, president of like this giant company, this giant production company in my own hometown. Like, and on Kind of Funny Live Day 2, they had like a bunch of podcasters up on stage, and I would see the logo, but I'm like, what is this? I didn't even put it together that it was like they were Rooster Teeth people.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm still kind of figuring it out. I'm still becoming acquainted with it.
So you're going more to their events too, to kind of make your impact on their community. Are you doing like the same thing that you were doing for Kind of Funny in the sense, or is there a different goal for yourself with that?
No, same goal. Like I said, they do a little bit of everything. They do live action and they do movies and animation, and I love to consume all that, but it's not really what I'm trying. It's not my priority. My thing, like, I think, don't take everything I say to heart, but like You know, in the kind of YOLO approach of like, I feel like I will have most success doing something if I'm enjoying it. And what I
Right.
enjoy most is being around the community. So, um, as far as like trying to pursue anything with Rooster Teeth, the only thing I have my mind on right now is just becoming more familiar with their community members,
Mm-hmm.
sharing those experiences, just like I shared the kind of funny experiences.
Nice.
And I guess so far it's working out. People have watched the different, cause, so at last RTX was when I kind of went a bit more hard. Like there was a community picnic, and like some community members went to like a pop-up shop, so I was capturing that, and people have been digging that. So I just want to keep that as the goal right now, is to just keep doing that, keep showing, you know, the other Rooster Teeth fans that I'm a fan and would love to share any memories or any events that they wanted to, you know, share with the rest of the community out there that can't come into Austin.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So with your filming of these events, is there like a higher goal that you're trying to reach with the filming, or is it just purely a passion project and a hobby?
Mm, it feels more like the gut instinct to say is like it's a passion project.
Mm-hmm.
I have filmmaking career goals, but I don't really look at, they're so related, what I do as a hobby versus what I'm pursuing as a career,
Right.
that they might seem interlinked, but I look at them as pretty differently.
Okay.
Um, I don't like the career aspirations I have. I want to be a narrative director,
Okay.
which is very different from shooting events because there's no planning at all. You go there and you kind of shoot some raw footage
Yeah.
and you create the story afterwards.
Right.
Whereas, you know, when you shoot a short film or a movie, you know, everything needs to be properly planned and then you execute it. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, two very different skill sets. If anything, the only crossover that I hope happens is that if people will see the community work that I do, and if they enjoy that, maybe that will garner like a little bit of faith, and that whenever I do put out narrative work, that they're like, oh well, I've seen this stuff before. So,
Yeah.
but it's not. I wouldn't call it like an angle or anything like that. But I don't know. I
Mm-hmm. Well,
think that might have answered the question. I think.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's good that you have like the separation. Like obviously
Mm.
the hobby can help with the future goal of the filmmaking, but keeping it separate is good too, because if it's just all work, then sometimes it
Mm.
can lose the steam that you have, or the passion for it. So that's good. Are there certain inspirations that you have for your work that stand out, I guess, other filmmakers or
Not
projects or anything like that?
as far as like the event videos that I do
Mm-hmm.
that people might are most familiar with me for. I don't really, nothing comes to mind. I just do what I feel is natural. Last night for the first time was I think YouTube had a recommendation. It was like the perfect shots you need for B-roll, and I was like, oh, let me just watch this just to kind of compare
Yeah.
to see what they do versus what I do. And that last night was like the first time I've ever like purposely tried to find any quote unquote influence,
Mm-hmm.
or try to find any kind of inspiration. Because yeah, before that it was just like I just shoot how I like. I mean, I learned these, um, you learn these little rules of thumb about filmmaking and stuff, but as far as like having an influence, as far as like another filmmaker, not really. I know that there's like a lot of really cool vloggers out there, and people will mention like, "Oh yeah, like dude, you got to check out Casey Neistat," and like I keep forgetting to. I just don't consume a lot of vlog material anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I post a lot. I mean, I make a lot of vlog material, but I just don't watch a lot. Um, so I don't have any vlogger inspirations yet. But maybe, I mean, I should probably check out this Casey guy. Everybody's always saying good things. I need to check him out. Um, but as far as like my filmmaking aspirations, I don't take inspiration from like a particular person. If anything, Robert Rodriguez was a big inspiration to get me interested in filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard about his story, if in case anyone who's not familiar out there, the movie that just came out recently, Alita Battle Angels, from director Robert Rodriguez, and his career got started when he made a student film that actually got picked up for distribution, and he made it for almost no money, and it just rocketed his career. And he's right out of Texas too. So yeah, he was an influence in me learning that filmmaking was a thing that I could pursue.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like follow his visual style or anything like that. I don't really think I follow any other filmmakers' visual style. There might be some similarities, but if they are, I didn't realize it.
Right.
I will say though that one thing that does inspire me though, or that one thing I do refer to when I'm writing something or when I'm trying to plan a short film is that I love anime more than any other content. It's what I consume more than games or movies or anything like that. And so, if anything, anime has a big inspiration on like how I write, the kind of dialogue that I create for a character and things like that.
Cool. All right. I guess my last question on this topic. So we talked about before recording, and then I also watched your vlog today on Twitter. You've decided to leave your day job, and you're
Yeah.
pursuing new projects. What are your goals for yourself, I guess, with this new venture, I guess you could say?
Well, that's a tricky question
Mm-hmm.
because the two are also very separate. I
Uh-huh.
didn't it's super coincidental timing that I put out. If anyone who hasn't seen it recently, I put out a content update video, kind of giving a rundown of different projects and ideas that I have for this like kind of first half of the year, such as vlogs and merch ideas and what else did I even say? What else? Oh, like a live streaming kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. I wanted to kind of start getting into live streaming and just to name a few of the things that I have in the works. And also, I left my day job, which I alluded to in a post I made today. But the two were not like connected. I didn't leave the job to make more time for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I can see how that would look. Um, so I guess I'll tackle like one since they're separate. I'll
Yeah.
tackle them separate. So because I think it's still very relatable to anyone out there, like kind of why I left. So I worked at a restaurant.
Okay.
It's a Mexican restaurant, and it's called Taco Deli, and it was it was just my day job. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like how I would pay the rent and stuff. I'm a video freelancer, so when I can, I will go to an event and I'll shoot reels and stuff like that. I also would do weddings and anything else that needs. There was actually even a documentary that I edited last year that no one will ever see because I think it's for internal use. But
Wow.
um, as fun as it is to freelance for video, it's not very. Uh, you never know. It's going to be slow sometimes, and sometimes you get a lot of work. So I
Right.
always needed to have something in the back. So I was at this day job for I was at the restaurant as my kind of my supplemental income for like the last almost. It's been almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love it. Like the culture there at this restaurant, at Taco Deli. I've been so used to like avoiding name
Uh-huh.
dropping it.
Yeah.
Uh, just because like um, more like I don't know. I didn't know what they would think of me,
Yeah.
and so I didn't, so I never tagged them a lot or mentioned them a lot. But now that I'm not there anymore, I feel like I can name drop them a bit more. But yeah, I was almost at Taco Deli for 2 years, and it was like, man, it was such a cool place to work. I uh, Before working there, like I hated dealing with guests or customers of any kind. If I worked at a restaurant, I preferred to work in the kitchen. If I worked at a retail store, I preferred to work in the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
I always avoided people, but at Taco Deli, you could only work at the front, and so I was forced to, engage in people, and it ended up being like a really positive change. I feel like almost the only reason why you and I can even talk like this is because of the 2 years of experience that I had, like learning to, to talk to people
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I wasn't used to. And but besides that, like they were always super supportive. Like I went to so many places last year. Like I went to Japan, I went to Seattle for the first time for PAX, California, of course, for prom. And anytime I needed to go somewhere, Taco Deli was always like, "Dude, we got you, man. Like go do what you got to
That's
do."
great.
And they even like asked me to do a few videos for them, which was like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just describing all this just so people don't think like, oh, he must have had like a really shitty job or something
Right.
that he hated and couldn't wait to get out of. But
Right.
um, really, more for anything, I was kind of approaching like my second like 2 year mark,
Mm-hmm.
and man, in the last 2 years, like thanks to their support, I've been able to do so many great projects and collaborate with people, and so I just kind of found myself like it's it's the new year and it's all about everybody's making big changes. A lot of the content creators out there are making big moves, and again, it sounds like I'm saying like I'm gonna quit this to make more time for new stuff, but it's more like, but like it like I swear, as much as it looks like it's connected, it's not. It was
Mm-hmm.
more like um I okay, it's much more simpler than that. I don't know why I was overthinking it.
Eh?
As much as I enjoyed the time there, to put it simply, I'm just getting too old.
Okay.
Like when I first started working there, we close at 3 o'clock every day.
Mm-hmm.
We only do breakfast and lunch, and so we close at 3. So and when you take in the time it takes to close down the restaurant, I'd be home by 4:30 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Super early in the day, lots of time to do videos and editing and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And I had the energy for it back then, but I'm so surprised that in 2 years, like I just can't maintain that anymore. When I get home, and nothing's changed really. We're a bit more popular, so more people come in, and so I get a bit more tired. But
Mm-hmm.
I really think I am just getting too old for this shit, as people say.
Uh-huh.
I would get home and I didn't have the same amount of energy to put out a video and or to work on anything. So it wasn't so much that I left it to make more time, but more that I wanted to give my body a bit more rest, my mind and my body a bit of um, a retreat, I
Yeah.
guess, from that. So I guess it is more related than I imagined, but it isn't so much. I guess I said making more time is just more making sure that I have enough energy to put into my creative works.
Yeah. That's good. It's that self-care aspect, which is
Yeah.
definitely important because a lot of people forget about it. I'm definitely one of those people. But that's good. You know, I wish you the best with this change, and hopefully it works out to whatever you want it to be. But yeah, that's a good point you brought up. It doesn't have to be because something bad happened you want to change. Like, you can change
Mm.
whenever you want, and goals change or whatever changes, and things pop up, and sometimes you want to roll with it, because if you don't, then it's always the what ifs or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's awesome to hear. All right, so I think that wraps up topic 1 on the filming and whatnot. I'll have to think of a clever title of what this actually will be called, but yeah. So yeah, topic 2, all yours, Christian. What are we chatting about for topic 2?
For 2. Oh yeah, I'd so I guess I wanted to hear a bit about Twitch. So one of the things I wanted to do, yeah, just chit chat about Twitch a little bit,
Okay.
because one of the things I really wanted to start doing this year was I wanted to start Twitch streaming. Well, just live streaming in general. I don't even say Twitch streaming because there's so many other platforms out there now.
Yeah.
And there's even I'm still learning, but I hear that there's even ways you can like do several platforms at once. Like if you set it up properly, like
Oh, okay.
you'll streaming and you'll have both Twitch and Mixer and whatever other platform out there all receiving the same feed. So I think you can reach even bigger audiences if you wanted to.
Neat.
But a lot of the friends out there that have been streaming seem to have a lot of fun with it, and
Mhm.
that's the goal. That's kind of like why I thought I'd give it a shot. Everyone looks like they're having fun, and as I mentioned, like I consume more anime than anything. Like people might think I play a lot of games, but there's so many games I don't play, and I was like, I need to get back in the conversation. I am pretty up to date. If you and I wanted to talk about a game, I could only talk so much from what I hear on podcasts or
Yeah.
reading articles. But like, unless I play the game, unless I play Spider-Man or God of War, this that, like I can't like really get into the nitty-gritty. So,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, like the best way to do something is to do it in a way that you would enjoy. And so, I was thinking of how would I play games? What's my favorite part about playing a game? And man, of course, photo mode is like one of my big time
Mhm.
favorite features. And so I had this idea that like, okay, I want to start streaming a little semi-regularly, and what will motivate me is that it'll be like a weird photo mode show where all I do is play photo mode in different games, and I can talk about the kind of things that I like to talk about. Because I have 7 friends that, like I said, they stream, and I'll check out their streams, and like the kind of things that they can talk about or joke about or be on about. I don't have that thing.
Mhm.
Like I'm like, man, well, how can I be engaging? Like the only thing I know how to be engaging about is like visual arts.
Yeah.
And so that's when I kind of came up with that idea. But after the idea though, it's like, dang, now I gotta actually learn what this whole streaming thing is. And
Right.
just watching from the distance, like my friends who stream on Twitch or Mixer and stuff, like this whole community aspect, and there's also like the subscriber stuff and the sponsorships. It's like, man, it's a crazy world out there.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I'm definitely going very slow. I'm not trying to get partnered or anything
Oh
right
yeah.
away or nothing like that. I'm right now, the main goal for streaming is, like I said, just to reintroduce myself to gaming on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Right now, the only plan is like just stream once a week, even for just like about an hour a week. Which 1 hour a week sounds like probably a nightmare to a lot of people. Like, what? No, like I got to play a lot. But for me, I would be lucky to get an hour aside for games. And so that said, like, there's a lot about Twitch in general. Well, I'm using Twitch as an example because that's what we're talking about. That's what you use. And so I wanted to hear, because it sounds like you stream a bit, right?
Yeah, we stream 5 nights a week, and we've been doing it for 4 years.
Yeah, like I'd love to hear kind of like what are some of the things that you were learning at the start of that, and maybe like not advice, but what are some things that like what would a streaming 101 be like? Like, oh, Christian, you have an interest in streaming? Here's like 1 or 2 things that, not exactly advice, but things that you should look up or keywords to know about.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that's really good because I'm at a kind of spot, at least these past few months, where I've been very, what's the term? I don't know. I've been kind of like down on myself or like judging too harshly. I'm trying to think of like,
I've been there all the time. Yeah.
This and that. So, general advice. I think you're on the right track with have fun with it. If you're not having fun with it, nobody's going to gravitate towards it. Number 2 is don't look at other people and compare. Now, that's like a do and a don't. It's a big don't. There's a do part of it. It's not bad to look at other people and say, oh, they're doing this well, or I don't like how they're doing this. Like I did that recently where I would just pop into people's streams and I'm not like typing in chat like, oh, you're shit or whatever. But no, I'm just like taking mental notes like, oh, that's really cool how they do that. And I'm not a real fan of that.
Chefs, they go eat at other restaurants, and filmmakers watch other people's movies. You could watch it you could look at it, you could make that same comparison.
Yeah, so I think those kind of notes of comparing yourself to others are good. The one that's really bad is, oh, this person blew up. Why did they blow up? I've been doing this for longer, or I've been playing this game, the same game they play, and blah, blah, blah. Because that can be really degrading to yourself and not good. So just be careful with that.
What was like one of like the hardest, what is one of the like what's something that surprised you? Like, oh, I didn't realize that I was not doing this thing. Maybe for example, like earlier in the start of the stream, you had your whole rundown. Like, when you started streaming, did you already know that you needed to have that set, or is that something you learned later?
Oh, okay. So yeah, for the podcast specifically, like that intro has taken a while to kind of get down. Like I still fumble here and there from time to time, but like over the span of these 40 episodes, if you go back to episode 1, oh boy, it was not like that. So I feel prep for yourself like that can be good. I feel the podcast is a little different because it's more structured in that. Like I don't do that for live streams. An example I will use for a wonderful streamer, Snowbike Mike. It's kind of funny, community don't know him, but he's got a whole fucking intro at the beginning of it. And I mean, it's good. Sometimes they're sitting there like, all right, you can move on. But I mean, he's consistent. He does it every time. He gets all his info out there. But I remember watching Mike, like when I first met him. I think it was Kind of Funny Live 3-ish, something like that. I don't know. But his intro too, he didn't have that rock solid at first, and that was just something that he kind of has been working on. So, repetition will be just like any skill will help, whether it's streaming or whatever, to be, the more you do it, the better you'll get. So, let's see, don't compare. The other, have fun with it. Be patient. There's a lot of people that stream. So if you don't get anybody right away, it's okay if you have
I
one or
almost
two people. That's fine
I
too.
almost prefer. I found so the other day I did a test stream just
Mm.
to, 'cause, man, just getting the thing set up right.
Oh
It's
yeah.
I could get so like I did a picture in picture and the camera feed is going just fine, but the game footage was hella choppy.
Mm.
I couldn't figure out what was going on. Like I'm having to learn this whole OBS thing
Mm-hmm.
and oh man, I'm using just rocks and stones as equipment here. But like I finally kind of figured one or two things out, but dude, in general, it's a lot to kind of. Did that take you a while to figure out how to it all even fit together? Or, like getting the Twitch to correspond with like, do you even use OBS? Like,
Yeah,
so
I've been using OBS since the start. I tried shit, what's the other one? You gotta pay for it. It's blue. I don't know. But I tried that one for a bit, but I was like, I'm all good with OBS. But yeah, that definitely took a lot to learn how to do. There's still occasional problems that we'll get where like, oh, you got desynced, and I'm like, why? I didn't change any settings. All right, let's go in and fix it. So yeah, there's the basic stuff did take a little while to learn. When I first when I first started, it was kind of just like my friends and I were doing a YouTube channel, and one of them was like, "Oh, you should check out Twitch." Okay, I don't no idea what this is, so went in, watched somebody, and then we're like, "All right, we're doing this." And yeah, the quality back then, whew, like you said, sticks and stones. That was pretty much it. But that's the thing is like anybody can do it. You don't have to have the green screen. You don't have to have these fancy lights. You don't even have to have a camera. You can just talk and not have a camera going on.
I learned about that. I've been, so kind of like so as I mentioned that I'm getting to know the Rooster Teeth community a bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a Mixer streaming community that I've started to get to know.
Okay.
Like there's a surprising number of Mixer streamers here in Austin, and they'll get together sometimes and my friend will invite me, so I've gotten to know them, and I was surprised to find out there that like some of them, yeah, they're like they only do voice only, they don't do like a camera. It's like, oh, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that definitely took a while, and once you kind of get at least the basics down, you can start experimenting with stuff of like recently I started making transitions in between like the hold screen and the actual play screen, but there's little things that can kind of make it a little bit fancier that you can mess around with. But
I do remember one thing I meant to say earlier was I think I lost my train of thought earlier, but what I was saying, like I almost prefer that people don't watch because like yeah, I'm stumbling my way through this whole thing, and in this test stream I finally got everything kind of like the on camera was working and the video gameplay was going smooth, but I didn't know how to. So the whole. I'm getting tongue tied here.
No worries.
But basically, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The format that I came up with of like, oh, like I will kind of, pick a photo mode and I'll kind of explore it and stuff. But I found that I was being too quiet, and so I was like, man, like I'm kind of glad no one's in this chat right now because I'd feel like maybe they'd get really bored, and so that's something I'm kind of like having to overcome is like that anxiety of like don't care if people come in and like think that it's boring that I'm like debating, I don't know, is this vignette too much or is it just right, which color filter do I want to put Nathan Drake in, these are all decisions that I'm internalizing, and like I realize I'll notice in the corner of my eye like, oh wait, I get a glimpse of the image capture of myself. I'm like, wow, I've been so deep in this thought of how this composition of this photo is going that like I've not even like tried to talk out loud about my thought process.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a skill that you'll need to get. You mentioned it in the last topic with the restaurant, like that helping you with the podcast and talking in general. I feel I have the same thing. So I was working as a Taekwondo instructor for numerous years, but
I think I remember you mentioning that on like the podcast. Like,
yeah.
Kind of funny.
Before even working there, like, never thought that would ever be a thing, like getting in front of people and leading the class and like, but I feel like that has definitely helped talking in front of people, obviously. But then even the live stream itself, just once again, the more you do it, the easier it gets. There's still streams now where I'm just so focused on the game, or I'm just like, well, nobody's talking right now, so I don't know what to talk about. It just definitely, it takes time. And you talked about it pre-podcast, like multitasking is not a strong suit of yours. That's definitely going to have to, you're going to have to work on that, whether it's focusing on the chat or obviously the game and whatever it is.
Oh yeah, I felt so bad. So I didn't think anyone, I only have one monitor. I know some people have like dual monitors and stuff so they could check different things. Me, I was like, well, I don't have another monitor, so I opened up the stream on my phone.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the chat there, and nothing ever showed up. I'm like, oh, that's cool. No one showed up. That's cool because this was just a test anyways. And then when I went to the desktop to cancel it out, the chat box showed up, and there were people in there being like, oh, hey, I was just in here to say this and that. And I was like, oh no, I fucked up.
That's all right. So, yeah, it's a difficult thing to kind of juggle all the stuff going on.
The weirdness is still fun. The awkwardness, I'm still having fun with it.
That's important. That's the big thing. As long as you're
jigsaw puzzle.
As long as you're having fun with it, that's the big thing. Because once you're not, people will feed off that energy, and that's when they're like, "Nah, I'm gonna go check out whoever, whatever."
Yeah.
But yeah. So I guess the big three: have fun with it, don't compare, be patient. Just be patient.
Nice.
There's a lot of things that you got to learn or deal with or whatever, but you give yourself time, it'll all fall into place. Don't worry about all 20 things. Worry about maybe one or two and then go from there. But I like the idea you have for the photo mode, because that's definitely different. I don't see anybody doing that. And that's the thing about Twitch is now, since they're expanding their horizons from just games, like they got people singing, they got people doing art, they got people building stuff. Yeah, they're going nuts. So I think that variety in your idea, I think that will hit a niche group of people. The people will feed off of it, and that'd be good. It's a nice way, I guess, to spin it a different way instead of just how everybody else is doing it. But yeah,
I figured it was the only thing that I would not get bored of doing, or not bored of doing, but the only thing I would have the patience for, if anything, because I feel like if I was playing through something else, I might easily be like, it would be the most natural thing. I feel like if I was playing something like, say, a Fortnite or an Apex, like I feel like I would be trying to force whatever commentary I had.
Right.
Whereas like photography and videography are like so natural that like even though no one was in the chat, like I would notice these things and I would kind of start rambling. I'd be like, oh dang, that reminds me, like, look, if your subject's over here, like this is what's gonna happen with the people that are watching it, this and that. And like that was like a fun part. And like I said, even though it was like small moments throughout like this hour, like those still small moments, like they carried a good feeling throughout.
Yeah, and that's good that like you can point out these things and make your own conversation, because you don't always have those people in chat that you can bounce back and forth. Like that's a weakness of mine. Like if people are there, yeah, let's go. We can keep going and rocking and rolling and questions for days. But like if nobody's there, that's a weak point for me. I'm like, all right, what do we talk about? What am I talking to myself about? I don't know. So the fact that you have those subject matters of the photo and how the composition is, or the target, or whatever it is, like you just talking about that, even if no one's there to listen or pops in eventually, that's a way you're practicing just talking in general. And I mean, it doesn't have to be for an audience, but you're going to get better eventually through it. So that's good. That's good.
Nice. Cool.
All right. Anything else on live stream topic, I guess?
Not for now. I'm definitely going to DM you, I'm sure, if I have any speed bumps or anything.
Yeah, let me know. All right, then topic 3. So if you're watching this podcast for the first time, whenever we have a new guest on for a one-on-one, I like to take them to the lightning round of questions. So I'm going to ask Christian these questions here. He's going to answer with the first thing that comes to his head, and he can elaborate. He can elaborate as much as he would like to on the answers if he wants. Christian, you ready?
Yeah.
All righty. Don't worry, nothing too bad. All right, first one. What is your favorite color?
Red.
Okay.
Yeah. Never mind. I felt like an instinct of like, oh, I gotta elaborate on
I
it
mean, if
now.
you want to, you don't have to.
No. Okay, I'll keep that one short. Just
Okay.
yeah, red. Red.
Cats or dogs?
Oh wait. I'm gonna rewind.
Okay.
So
Whoop.
I'm gonna rewind. So red, and on the subject of red,
Mm-hmm.
I have a really, really bad habit
Okay.
of when I buy gear. Sometimes I'll pick the more expensive one if it's red.
Nice.
Like the shoulder rig that I carry around that people will like see me at conventions with. They're like, "Oh, dude, that's a sick rig." I'm like, "Yeah, it's so versatile and so customizable." But in the back of my head, I'm like, "It's red," and they're like, "Dude, where'd you get it?" And I'm like, "I'm not gonna tell you because Amazon has a perfectly good one for $20. You don't want to know where I got mine because
Right. Then they're like,
don't. I don't want to embarrass myself with like what I spent on this thing just because it was red."
hey, I had no blame there. Yellow chair for that exact same reason.
That's what's up.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Okay. Favorite game?
Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, the sadder the better. If you want me to love a game, make me cry, and that one does it 3 times because it's 3 stories in one. So.
Mm-hmm. Favorite movie?
Man, the first one coming to my head is Pan's Labyrinth
Okay.
by Guillermo del Toro. I don't know if it's my favorite movie of all time, but it's the first one that I was like, my Rolodex of films just started rolling.
Yeah.
And kind of like on Price is Right, and when I hit stop,
Mhm.
it was on Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay.
It's a beautiful movie. It's foreign film, and one of my aspirations is to make foreign films. Like that's like the big, if a million. Well, actually, I was gonna say if $1 million drops in my lap, but like you need probably $200 million for a good, feature film.
Right.
But Pan's Labyrinth. It's beautifully directed. Like I love that it's a 4-language film too, and it's got a lot of heart.
Nice. Favorite type of music?
Man, that's a tricky one because I actually don't really listen to.
Oh, okay.
I'm such a podcast fiend. We had before I left Taco Deli, we had this new guy and he'd always be like, "Hey, so what are you listening to now, man?" And I'll be like, "Just podcasts."
Mhm.
Like he's like, "What do you listen to?" I'm like, "I just don't know any music." Like I'm down with whatever music. Like if I'm sitting in someone's car and they put on classical, or country, rap, R&B, this or that, hard rock, classic rock, I'm usually down with whatever. I can usually find. Like I'm super easy to please when it comes to music. So, but more than anything, any time of day, I'm probably listening to podcasts. Like I have so many. But if I had to pick a few favorites, I'd say classical, and not just modern, not just like quote unquote mainstream classical, but like I like orchestrated music. So of course soundtracks, video game soundtracks, movie soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
To get into like the non-classical side of things, I've found myself really lately gravitating towards like synth pop.
Okay. Yeah.
Like electronic kind of chill wave stuff. That's kind of what if anything, as far as music genre goes lately, that's kind of what I've been starting to lean towards, if anything.
Cool. Oh, I'm into it, says lady. There you go. Okay, so the next question's favorite song, but I'll switch that to favorite podcast.
Man, there's so many. There's so many podcasts I listen to. They're all so good. Oh man, what's the one that I absolutely can't not? Okay, so I'm kind of cheating with this one.
Okay.
So, so there is a podcast called We're Alive.
Okay.
And it is actually a radio drama. And I will say it's my favorite because I've revisited this show from beginning to end several times. Imagine like The Walking Dead, but instead of watching it on TV, you're hearing it through like in audio radio drama format.
Neat.
And Greg Miller is actually the one that got me onto it because he was a big fan of it, and when he was at IGN, he would always throw it on the podcast, like, "Hey man, I'm listening to We're Live, and you should check it out too." And he made a guest appearance on that, actually.
Very cool.
But it was this really great. It was a really well produced show, and it's like one of the first time I'd ever listened to a radio drama. You always hear about like back in the day, like War of the Worlds was on the radio, and people would listen to that or tune into what was the other one, like Little Orphan Annie on the radio and stuff. Mm-hmm. So this was like my first time like getting to listen to something like that I could get invested in characters on a weekly basis, and only through like the imagination that, of listening to audio and having the images like populate in my head. Like
Yeah.
that was like a really like special new experience for me.
Cool.
So I'm cheating. I'm not picking any of those other
Yeah, that's good.
podcasts, but I listen to a lot. It's so hard for me to think of one right now. But
What was your dream job when you were a kid?
my dream job when I was a kid was to be a special effects artist for movies.
Okay.
So making CGI. Um, when I was like 10 or something. Do you remember Movie Magic? Like when that would be on TV?
Hmm.
Like back in the day, like on T, like back in the day, in like in the 90s. Actually, I don't even know how.
25.
Okay. So maybe it was a little bit before your time, but they would, before YouTube, they would put like special features on TV. Like, hey, and most of, I don't know, I'm speculating or using hypotheticals. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have the actual anecdote when I was a kid. Jurassic Park, I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
They were showing behind the scenes of that, and like, hey, look at this scene. Like, it's when the Tyrannosaurus like attacked, but it wasn't even there. It was all CGI, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. I want to do that. And that was like the first job I'd ever wanted as a kid. And then I learned that it requires a lot of math, and I'm not very good at math. And like, I don't know what I imagined would go into creating visual effects, but I knew it had to do with computers. And from very young, I was always interested in computers. But when I saw like that, it like yeah, just the geometry of the polygons creating the models and stuff like that, I was like, oh man, no, I ain't about that. No, never mind. But yeah, that was like the first thing I remember wanting to be as a kid.
Cool. If you could have any animal to be a pet, what would it be?
A Shiba Inu.
Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned like cats and dogs earlier, and my family has always like had cats growing up, and I've always wanted a dog, but in my adult life, I've only ever lived in houses or apartments where you could not have a dog.
Okay.
The weird thing about now is that I live in my own home, and I very much could have a dog here if I wanted, but Austin is a very dog responsible city. Like we treat dogs like royalty here, and people have made it abundantly clear that a dog needs a lot of care and a lot of attention. Which right now I'm very nomadic. Like I move a lot, and obviously these gigs take me to different states and cities and stuff. And so it right now, until I stabilize a bit more, I'm not gonna get a dog yet. Because I would want to do it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I've always found that Shibus like even before the whole Doge, the whole Doge thing, you know what I mean? Man, I hate that because dude, before that I always wanted a Shibu, and then they were always popular, but that like sent them to a new level of popularity. Yeah. Now they're so expensive now. And I understand, I know anyone who's listening is probably like Christian, like obviously you adopt. Don't there's so many, and I agree that dogs need a good home. And so I've actually been thinking about like maybe learning to, what do you call it when a dog needs a home, and so you have it for a little bit? What is that called?
Is that fostering?
I guess kind of. I'm thinking about fostering dogs for a bit, maybe. Because like I said, like since I do travel a lot more, like maybe obviously I have a plan is to do more research, but maybe since there's already an expectation that it's not going to be like for like a forever home or something like that, maybe that might be like a viable option. But as far as like just the ideal, like if I could go and get a dog right now, then yeah, I'd love to get a Shiba Inu. I'm really big into Japanese culture, and it would be great to like kind of have that one more connection to Japanese culture. And plus I just think they look they're so darn cute. Although I do hear that they're very stubborn. No. I hear they're pretty hard to train and hard to raise, but I don't care.
If you could meet one celebrity, who would it be?
Guillermo del Toro. He's the filmmaker that I mentioned earlier of Pan's Labyrinth, a few other things he's made before. To anyone who doesn't know, he did like Pacific Rim. Most recently, he's executive producing like that Scary Stories in the Dark movie. He usually does horror stuff, and I don't really watch a lot of horror, but he's one of the few filmmakers that kind of showed me like, hey man, like there's scary stuff out there, but if you look at it, like there's a lot of like very careful craft into creating these monster effects and into creating the lore for these monsters and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, whoa, that's right. There's much more to this than meets the eye. And
Yeah.
I always find really interesting his philosophy when he's making films and stuff. So I would love to go meet him.
Nice. Favorite season?
Probably fall, because I like a little breeze, a little breeze, but not too hot, not too cold. And I think fall is mighty fun.
Favorite holiday?
New Year's, actually. A lot of people like that. New Year's is the biggest holiday in my family. Honestly, it's bigger than Christmas or anything like that. We all celebrate all the major holidays, but New Year's is the one time a year that all the family will make the time to get together from the different four corners of the wind. And so that's like my favorite, because that's when I get to see the most and catch up with more of my extended family.
Cool. What is a skill you wish you could have?
Animation, and I'm trying to learn it right now. Nice. I have a lot of aspirations to like direct, like I said, but that requires a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of that I'm not giving up on. But I feel like I can only let these stories exist in script form for so long. Like I've got all these scripts that I've got, and they're just stacked up and waiting for the time when I finally have the money or the time or the resources to make them happen. But I'm like, I got to put these. I need to do something with these. And so I really wanted to learn. So animation's something I've always admired. Of course, being an anime fan and seeing the behind the scenes of how carefully crafted these scenes happen. And so I figured it would be a good thing. Like I would get to learn a little bit more about this skill I've always admired, and also I would get some creative outlet of finally seeing some of my scripts realized in, even if it's crude, even if it's just stick figures. If I can get like these two little characters to walk side by side, then Mazel Tov, I've created a short film.
Right.
I've done something with that story idea. So it's something I've always admired, and hopefully, I've been like just loading up on tutorials and stuff, and hopefully I can share something.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, and last one. What is a game you would like me to play?
I don't know what you've not played before. Have you ever played a Kingdom Hearts game?
Yes. Yeah, I've played all of them. I just started, I didn't just start 3. I'm going into Monsters, Inc. World. I skipped Birth by Sleep 2.2 and Dream Drop because I was like, I want to push through these, but I don't want to wait. Okay, fine. So I watched the...
You gotta play those.
I'll go back eventually. I was just like,
Man, but again, you got to remember that I'm not the game guy. Like, there's so many games I haven't played. What's something I would recommend? A good game that may have caught me by surprise. I mean, I'm assuming you've played Journey. Like, that's like my second favorite game.
I have not played Journey.
Whoa! Okay, that's totally my answer.
All right.
Do you have a PlayStation?
Yeah, I do.
Do you have the capability?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna immediately stop overhyping it, because there's always that danger of like, oh yeah, I mean, he told me it was the coolest thing this side of the Mississippi, and now it was nothing,
Yeah, I get you.
So I'm gonna rein it back. All I'm gonna say is that it's pretty short, it's pretty sweet, and it's very pretty, and and it's pretty hard to lose. So there's no stress there. Just go in, get your tea, it's got a fantastic soundtrack too, so beautiful. I spent like a summer in New York working like at a production headquarters, like as like an office assistant, and man, those are some pretty stressful days. And every morning riding the train to work, I would just throw on the Journey soundtrack, because it would just completely zen me out and get me in the right state of mind for work that day.
Nice. Very cool.
So that's a good one to check out.
All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 41. My name is Bret. Today I was joined by Christian, a.k.a. PixelBrave. Christian,
Hello.
Where can they check you out? Where can they hit you up and all that fun stuff?
I am everywhere you can imagine as PixelBrave. I'm most active on Twitter. So just give me a little follow there at PixelBrave, and you'll probably see links there to my other... I've started making alternate accounts. Like, I have my anime account now too.
Okay.
For the anime show that I'm going to be starting. Also, that's just where I can start putting more of like my anime responses and thoughts because I don't want to flood my main Twitter account with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also started a new an art Twitter account. So if people want to see like the art that I'm doodling, because like I said, like man, I want to get into animation. So first things first, I gotta get used to drawing again.
Yeah.
So learning to draw would be good if you want to animate. So
Mm-hmm.
I started putting like little paper napkin sketches like on that, and that can be found on Twitter at Chicano Sad Boy.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so make sure you go follow there. Remember, guys, you can watch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 like Lady in Wonderland and Boxy Brown are right now. Boxy, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Every first and third Saturday of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can come out, hang with us, chat with us about the topics and all that fun stuff. If you can't catch it live, that's okay. You can catch it over on youtube.com. Search Enigma9011, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video at the end of the week. If you have any topics for us that you'd like us to discuss, you can always put it down in the comment section down below or join us on Discord and you can chat in that tab over there. And then last but not least, hashtag add you or this podcast is sponsored by the merch store. You can get all of your Enigma 911 swag over there, t-shirts, backpacks, cups, and more. Rep the brand, support us. That'd be greatly appreciated. Christian, thank you for being on the podcast. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, chat. We will see you guys later on to the next one. Bye.
Bye, chat. Thanks for tuning in.